Sean Strickland is next for Dricus to Plessis for the Middleweight Championship of the World. This coming after a question he was asked, the post-fight Dana White Contender Series press conference. And I'm a little surprised he got asked it. That fight has been announced. That fight was announced before Dricus and Izzy fought. And it was a great announcement, too. Knowing that Strickland was next was a great announcement because Strickland had fought both of them and had a storyline with both of them. Strickland had upset Izzy to a point that people thought, we got to throw that one out. And on a bell curve, you do have to throw that out. That's true. Other people had thought Sean Strickland defeated Dricus du Plessis and should be given the opportunity to prove that he's better, get his belt back. So it was a treat. It was a treat having Strickland in that regard. And then the fight concluded, and that got doubled down on that it will be Strickland. And then you fast forward a period of time, and you get a fight between Chimaev and Robert Whittaker, both of which said Strickland is next, but whoever wins this fight should get to be after that. So I don't really know why the question was asked. I mean, I got to just tell you, I do find that a little bit interesting, but I have a guess. I have a guess as to why it was asked. Fights do change. Sure they do. World title fights, particularly rematches, particularly when both the guys involved are already big stars, they've already done good numbers, and they've already proven their ability to sell out an arena, generally are unpenetrable. But we're in a very interesting time because of a very interesting guy called Alex Pereira. And trying to guess what's next for Pereira is very hard. Is he going to defend his light heavyweight belt? Okay, if so, we can narrow down to who it's going to be against. It's going to be Ankalaev or Raychik. We can do that reasonably. But isn't the defense of the light heavyweight belt the least interesting of the other opportunities he has to involve in belts? I believe. And I know that I'm right as of right now, but things change fast. So hear what I'm saying, but hear what I'm not saying. Pereira's next fight will be against Tom Aspinal. I believe it. Now, I can change that in an hour. But isn't it also possible that he'd go down and face Dricus du Plessis, considering he was the champion there? And considering that Dricus has beaten two people from Izzy's past? And wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be an interesting turn of events? I believe that's why that was asked, as a way of removing that from the board. We all knew it was going to be Strickland versus du Plessis. That's the fight to make, by the way. But there was never a time that Alex was going to disrupt that fight, even with these options out here. It was always Strickland versus du Plessis, and then if du Plessis gets over, that's even more reason for Alex, the training partner, the friend of Sean Strickland, to come down. Try to make things right, but I do believe the reporter that brought it up is just trying to eliminate things from the board. I don't think his question was asked because he was wondering if we're going to go through with the promise that was made 11 weeks ago for Sean Strickland to challenge du Plessis. I don't believe that. I think he was trying to eliminate what is going to go on with Alex. And of all the things that are talked about for Alex, and I realize it hasn't been a whole lot of time, but for all of the things that are talked about, including right here on my channel, the biggest and best of them all, the least have to do with Alex staying at 205 and defending. There was just more talk and more interest, which what makes it such a unique time. And even if the talk and even if the interest and even if it was better for business somewhere else, that doesn't mean that's where they're going to go. There's an integrity that will be shown to the sport, but they don't disqualify each other either. Promising Ankalaev, if you win. Promising Raychik, which I don't think happened, but I think it should. If you win, you will fight for the belt, is all that needs to happen. If it was ever stated, if you win, you will fight Pereira for the belt, well, somebody misspoke. And I'm just reminding you of that because if Pereira does do what I'm telling you as of right now is the play, and goes up with Aspinal, winner draws in to Jon Jones, that would still mean the next fight for the winner of Ankalaev and Raychik could be for the belt. In fact, if we can get this done fast enough, they can go fight for the belt in 2 weeks. And that's another reason I'm trying to fast track this. If it's direction that we're going and it's the match we're going to do anyway, I don't think you have to have a champion versus champion. I don't think you have to have a light heavyweight champion versus an interim champion. I don't think that. I think you just need Alex versus Tom. And I tell you that because if we're going to get on with it, let's get on with it now. Let's make Rachik Ankalaev for the belt now. Let's make him for an interim belt now, if that's the direction that we're going to go anyway. If we acknowledge that those are the two right guys, if we acknowledge in any other circumstance those would be two top contenders facing each other with some parity of newness, I say let's get on with it now. But there isn't a scenario where between now and the end of this month when that fight goes off, that fight being Ankalaev and Rachik, where the fight announcement of Tom and Pereira happens, aside from either John or Stipe pulling out and needing that Madison Square Garden. So we're going to have to wait. But I do believe Strickland getting the next shot for Plessis. I believe that whole topic, including the premise of it, which was the question, was just trying to eliminate things for Alex. He's in such an interesting spot right now. He really is. He's in such a wildly interesting spot. And Ankalaev's coming after him, and Ankalaev's doing everything right. But if Alex can just keep taunting Ankalaev, if he can just keep Ankalaev's focus off Rachik enough, Ankalaev can stub his toe against Rachik. The one missing piece that people aren't understanding is what a difficult fight Rachik is for Ankalaev. And there's more than one way to play a game, and there's multiple ways to skin a cat. And if you're a chessman and you're playing, no matter how hard your matches are, how beautiful your checks are, your job remains the same: to try to get the easiest fight and try to get that fight for the biggest check. And I know that Pereira knows that. I know that Pereira knows how difficult Rachik is. I'm just not convinced that Pereira isn't trying to mess with, if you will, isn't trying to troll, isn't trying to distract Ankalaev to help the outcome play into a way where Alex follows the golden rule. Easiest opponent for the most money.